should you get and build Necrass? Short answer, probably yes. Long answer, this entire video.
Allowing me on board at last. Then hand me the register. Necrass. How about this codename? Erudite? Rhodes Island requires I go by a codename, so I've decided to fashion an appropriate one for you as well.
どうすればお前は私に恭順する？懇願すればいいか、それとも声を上げて叱責してほしいか？誰にも見せたことのない一面を見せれば満足か、あるいは死を支配する力をお前の手に委ねれば足りるか？お前の欲するものであればすべてくれて。やるわけがないだろう。話をするなら、まずはお前が私のものとなってからだ。
Eblana Dublin, codename Necrass. A Draco from Victoria, or to be more specific, Tara. The older twin sister of Laushini Dublin, which is mostly known here at Rhodes as Operator Reed. After the recent event in Narshir Shah, she requested to come on board Rhodes Island. Considering who she is, her request is a troublesome one. But after careful consideration, we agreed to form a cooperation with her as an operator. However, while she is aboard this ship, she must be under constant surveillance. And all information about her will require high clearance to access. Because that's one hell of a spoiler. Alright, Necrass, which I preferred to call Eblana, because we all know that name longer, is our newest 6-star caster. And is the first 6-star in the Shaper caster archetype. Shaper caster is identical to a core caster. But for abilities, they are a mix of tactician vanguard, and summoner supporter. Who cover the role of an art stealer, and lane holder with their summon. They can call multiple summons, but are restricted to only be placed in the caster range. Their summon also doesn't consume deployment slots, which makes them a good option to be used in a stage where deploy slot is fewer than usual. The caster also has the ability to attack the enemies blocked by the summon. Very useful when the enemies are at the edge of the caster range. But I think this ability doesn't really serve much purpose for Eblana. Because all of her skills are nuka type. And it's always better you let enemies inside her range. There's also some noticeable downside of Shaper caster. Their summon will only appear if an enemy is defeated within their range. So they are best to be deployed early, and in a place where trash mobs are frequent. But this condition also means Shaper caster will fall off in a place where they barely give you weak enemies. Like in contingency contracts, or high difficulty IS mode. The summon placement is also rather unpredictable. Their summon should be placed right at the spot where the enemy is defeated. But some things can make their placement random. And since this caster mostly covers the role of a lane holder with their summon, a stage with barely any available ground tiles can really lower their usefulness. And by the way, like most summon units, Shaper caster summon will normally become the one with the highest aggro when they first appear. Not necessarily a downside, but it's something you want to keep an eye on. All in all, Shaper caster is a good 2-in-1 operator who can cover your arts needs and even solo a lane under certain conditions. Really useful for new players, especially if the one you got is Eblana. But like I said, there's also some downside that can be a hindrance. Well, enough about trade. Let's see more about Eblana. This is her general stats. Nothing really worth mentioning here, most of the stats are in the average category. But of course we don't judge operator by their stats alone. Now let's see her talents. Talent 1 determines how her summon works. Her summon is officially called Servant of Lamentation. They are melee units, and by default they look like those purple undead enemy soldiers you have seen in previous events. But if you use her upcoming skin, they turn into fishes.
You, sir, are a fish.
Compared to Techno, Eblana summon limit is lower. But she makes up for it by having the ability to upgrade her summon, which is objectively better. This is the stats of her summon, when Eblana is at max level. Very squishy for a unit that was supposed to block an enemy. And this is when they are upgraded. Now they are almost equivalent to a defender. And the upgraded version should be easily indicated by the purple flame on their sword. Also, worth noting that Eblana will prioritize maximizing the number of her servants before upgrading them. She will first upgrade her earliest servant. And if all servants are upgraded, she will heal them when an enemy is defeated within range. And yes, much like other summon units, her servants cannot be normally healed. If you want to heal them, you will have to either use Eblana's abilities or using operators who can do passive healing. But usually if there's plenty of weak enemies, or you are using her skill 1, Eblana doesn't need outside help to keep her servants alive. As for talent 2, Eblana will increase her damage to enemies who are below 50% of their HP, or 60 if you got the potential upgrade. It's a rather simple talent, but still helpful to quickly kill enemies. Alright, this is her potential upgrade list. You got stuff that will decrease her cost, redeploy time, increase attack, and reducing the requirement of her talent 2. A nice power up, but much like most operators in the game, she is already fine even without a duplicate. Okay, this is her module, which should be released on Phantom Altar event. So, there's two kinds of modules for Shapercaster. And Eblana got the X module, which will increase her attack to enemies blocked by the summons, while also increasing her HP and attack. The upgrade will improve her talent 1. And now Purple Woman will gain temporary attack buff when an enemy is defeated within her range. And level 3 upgrade will just increase this buff. It's a great module to increase her damage. But this doesn't do anything to address her flaws. And pretty much, damage has never really been her problem. So I think it's a good module to unlock if you use her often. But not a necessary. And I must say, if they want to increase her damage, I was kinda hoping they would make her inflict burn damage. I mean, come on guys, her enemy version can burn us to ashes. Why is the playable version not? Moving on, let's talk about her skills. Eblana starts strong. Her skill 1 will give her a passive, which will make all of her servants to deal AoE arts damage when they appear or upgraded. And neatly enough, the active effect will resummon all of her servants, which means she can deal massive AoE damage to all enemies in her range. Especially when you got all 3 servants appearing near the same targets. Aside from damage, resummon also means recovering the HP of all servants. Very useful to keep them alive without outside help. Not to mention this skill has a cheap SP cost, and doesn't lock her SP gain. So it can be extremely spammable. This skill also allows Eblana to call one servant, if none is present. Kinda fix the issue of this archetype. But it's just one servant, and cannot be upgraded through this ability. So it's hardly something groundbreaking. But the main downside of this skill is that the servant will be relocated to pretty much random tile. And it could cause a problem, like opening a path that was supposed to be guarded by the servant. Next, her skill 2. She starts strong, but kinda falls off in the next skill. Her skill 2 will put 2 enemies to sleep. During the skill duration, those sleeping enemies will get arts DOT. And if Eblana manages to kill them, she will summon 2 additional servants. So that means 3 servants or upgrade per 1 enemy killed by this skill. It's a really nice way to start a stage, because you can almost instantly maximize her servant and their upgrade. And this skill also offers good DPS, and most importantly sleep utility. But this skill is quite situational. You typically want to use it with that sleep utility in mind. If not, her other skills are better at dealing damage, especially to Swarm, and also keeps the servants alive to keep lane holding going. I personally also hate the fact that this skill can't be used against enemies blocked by her servant, at the edge of her range. Which makes this skill feels rather clunky. And compared to other skills, this is also the only one that lock her SP. Last but not least, her skill 3. Which is considered her main skill. Her earliest servant will have a special form, which has way more stats and blocks, and has its own skill, where it deals arts damage to all enemies in its frontal range, and is automatically active. You can also upgrade it up to 6 times. But the way you upgrade it is also different. Because Eblana needs to sacrifice the normal servant by using her skill to upgrade the big guy. If the normal servant is already upgraded, that means +2 level for the special servant. And each time a normal servant is sacrificed, it will also heal the big guy with quite a lot of HP. At full upgrade, this thing is no joke. It is absolutely tanky, and deals a lot of damage. Not to mention the high block count, and the long range can also be useful. Aside from the summon, Eblana also has the ability to deal arts damage 3 times, to all enemies inside this skill range. And thanks to its SP cost, this skill is spammable. The damage multiplier is also insane. But well, it's arts damage, which can be easily reduced by resistance. Overall, Eblana can turn into a really strong lane holder with this skill. She can easily defeat trash mobs, and is capable of holding her own against dangerous elites, or even bosses under certain conditions. Which typically means a bunch of weak enemies, to heal her big servant. For skill mastery priority. Her skill 3 no doubt. Beside the fact that it turns her into a strong lane holder. This has to be one of the skill that has the most impactful gains from mastery in the game. There's one that will increase her damage multiplier, reducing cost to make it spammable. And there's a very significant breakpoint at mastery 1. Where Eblana will start using her AoE arts attack 3 times. Your secondary option is her skill 1. An effective skill to clear waves, and almost have the same powerful impact as her skill 3. Mainly reducing the cost to make the cycle better, as well as improving damage. For her base skill, she can increase the mastery training speed of a caster operator. Increase the bonus of training for mastery 3. But also increase her moral consumption. So ladies and gentlemen, should you get and build Eblana? There's a lot to like about her. Her abilities, her voice, her appearance, and my personal favorite, her sister. Well, gameplay wise she can be considered a good 6-star. She performs well as a lane holder and arts dealer. And also has enough strength to take down strong elites, or even bosses. She is almost guaranteed to be able to solo a lot of story stages, or even other non-high level content. And she is no doubt going to be a good 6-star for new players. But you who play long enough, will probably find her abilities replaceable. For lane holding alone there's a lot of options. Her debut banner is especially in a rough spot. Upcoming banners are filled with equally, if not stronger operators, with more unique abilities than Eblana. Hell, we will also get another crossover operators soon. Although they are still really far away from global. So yes, she's a good operator that is worth considering to get. But if your gacha resources are almost dry, especially if you want a guarantee in the upcoming limited banner, it's better to save pulls. That should be all. Adios.